Hi, English department. I wanted to make a quick screencast showing how I use vocab.com, just in case any of you would like to set up your students with this platform. There are two versions. There's the free version, which has pretty much everything that the students will see, and then there's the paid version, which has more for us as educators to be able to track progress. So I usually set up my classes over the summer. The day that you set up your classes, like I set up mine in August, that'll be the start date for the class, and you get to choose the end date. And then once you set up the classes, which is pretty simple, you just create new class, you title yours, give it the grade level, and then create the class. It gives you a link that you can then post on Schoology. I usually post it as an update. The students click on it, they sign in with their LAUSD MyMail. There's no charge for them. And then you get to assign different lists. You can make your own lists up, as I've often done, or you can use pre existing lists. Let me show you some of them. So there are a ton of different lists that are usually very topical and current in nature. So here there's a variety of lists centered around texts that are used during Hispanic Heritage Month, and you can take a look at the titles that they have, and if any of these titles are something that you use for your classes, all you have to do is assign. Um, you can pick any of them. So I'll just pick this one at random, and it not only divides the words up via chapters, but when you click on the list, it shows you the context of the words and how they appear within those texts. And there are three kinds of games that the kids can play to practice. And all of the games and activities are adaptive. So if a student isn't learning the word, it'll vary the way that the word or the questions are written to make it more accessible until the kids build up their own skills. The AI works that way. So there are the practice games where they just get various questions, matching, true, false, fill in the blank type of questions. Then there's the spelling bee, which is an audio version. If you want to make sure the students are practicing their listening comprehension, they'll throw out questions that require your students to have the speakers on or have their headphones on. They will be asked to spell the words, which is great, so they can hear how the words sound. And then they have a feature called Vocabulary Jam, which allows them to go head to head, kind of like the card games that a lot of kids like to play, the Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, Magic the Gathering type of games where they're battling each other. They can do that with vocabulary. And there are tons of lists, so let's kind of go over some of them. So I like to do a lot of nonfiction with the students, and what's great about vocab.com is it has a lot of pre-made lists based off of whatever it is that you want to select for your students. There are dozens and dozens of texts that you can take a look at if you would like. And it has it all set up, not only for exclusively written text, but also for what they now call graphic nonfiction. I grew up and it was called comic books. But for example, let's see, there's one I read this summer that I saw. It's called They Called Us Enemy. Is George Takei's um, memoir, and it gives you lists divided by page count. If there's no chapters and whatnot, you can pick the list, and it gives you the words in context. The kids don't have to go look up definitions. They don't have to look up any of that stuff. It's already set up, along with examples of how the words are used. Once you have set up a class, in order to assign a list, you click on assign, and you assign it directly to your entire classes. So it's pretty quick. There's great lists for the origin of words. So words that come from different languages. So you have words derived from Hindi, from Yiddish, from Gaelic, all the way through a variety of different languages, so that students can see how the words that we use in English have a relationship with words from other languages. You can also use them for news. So every week they have a collection of articles. So let's look at the latest one. And these are words that have been used in either news articles or articles about the culture. Let's look at this one. And it gives you not only the words with their definitions so the kids never have to look them up, but it gives you where they came from and the context that they appeared in. So if you have the students read this article from The Verge, it gives you the link to the article about the first Dune trailer. If you wanted to have the kids read that, then you have the words that are related to that article that may be a challenge for some kids and whatnot. And they update with all new articles every week. So you can have the students read an article after they've mastered the words for that week or for that activity. For those of us that teach 11th grade, it's also got the foundational documents and early American and really important like speeches, the Declaration of the Rights of Women, different Supreme Court decisions and whatnot, and it has the entirety of the text. So for example, the Declaration of Independence, you can just assign this and it gives them the entire declaration sentence by sentence with the words in that might confuse them or might be new to them that they can learn as they're reading it. So even if you're not going to have them do the assignment where they have to answer questions and play the games to master them, this is a great resource just to use. If you blow it up in the Zoom, you can read the declaration in order, and every potential word that might confuse kids or be new to the kids is automatically defined so that the kids will know what it is and what it means and hopefully understand these documents better. It also works for textbooks. So we're using the My Perspectives textbook. It currently only has it up to 10th grade. So those of us who have the 11th grade version, we don't have anything yet. I'm sure it's in progress. But if you're using this for 9th grade, it's broken up by unit. So if you're having the students read something in the first unit, it shows the words in the context as they appear in the textbook. So those of you who are using the My Perspectives text for 9th or 10th grade, pre-made lists and activities for the lists that are adaptive to the skill level of the students. Let's see. A bunch of speeches. Considering where we are now in election season, the students can take a look at a variety of different speeches from different political leaders from over the centuries, and it has not just the words, but they have it's in the context is in the order that the speeches go, so you can read them straight down. Let's show you what the classes look like. So at this point, all I have assigned my students are the test prep words. so that they can start to practice those as we get into the different readings. I'll set those up, and it gives you data on how many students have completed and how many students have started. So I can click on that and it can tell me how each student did. It'll give me the words that um, gave them difficulty, right? So I'll know that, okay, let me speak a little bit more about render because it looks like 12 students has some trouble with it, but maybe I can avoid a word like secure because it looks like the students already know that one. And it'll tell you how long each student took on the list and to what degree of mastery they've done it. So as I mentioned, it's adaptive so that the students, if they answer the questions correctly the first time, that informs the AI about how to ask the next question. But if they're having some trouble, they lower the lexical level of the questions in order to adapt to the students, which is a really helpful um, feature. It gives me a gradebook feature that lets me know whether the students mastered the words. Um, Again, it goes for mastery, not for correctness. So the students can take 10 tries until they finally master the list, or they can do it the first try, however it is for them. The idea is that they master the lists. I set them up for the whole school year, so at any time the students can get ahead, at least for the vocabulary related to the test prep. But for vocabulary based off things we're going to read, I try to give those about a week in advance so that they can work with it. Some students take advantage of this. As you can see, Mary, she's already working on stuff for much later in the school year. That's a time management skill that I try to work on with my students by giving them the schedule of the work far in advance. If they want to get ahead, that will help them like remove my class from their daily plate because they've already gotten ahead. So anyway, there's a bunch of stuff that we can do with this. Um, I've gotten this subscription along with Miss Cardenas using the trust fund monies, and we can get a site license. I mean, we can try to explore that. It wasn't that expensive. Last year it was about $300 each for me and for Miss Cardenas, and the representative said that for $1,000 more or so we could have gotten the school site license. So it might be something that we want to explore with our trust fund monies coming up. I think both Miss Cardenas and I are good for the rest of this semester, and we'll probably put in for a renewal of it, but we might want to do it for the whole department. It's sort of up to you if it's something you want to explore. If you need more information about this, let me know, and I'll talk to you soon. I didn't expect this to go 13 minutes, but there it is. If you listened all the way until the end, extra credit. Thank you.